I thought it was awesome, Ryan, that you made some news and the PGA posted about it as well with Scottie Scheffler and your kids and his son, Bennett, who's like a celebrity now. His son's like, everywhere online. But talk us through and explain how that situation with Scottie Scheffler came up.
So we had some pretty heavy rains on Monday, and they actually closed the course for spectators on Mondays. And so we went in and we had lunch, and we were sitting in one of the player dining areas, and it was actually, there was like two separate rooms, and we were in one of the rooms, and the room that we were in only had like 4 tables in. So I actually had some work, as I just mentioned, in the tour van. So I was going to go pick up my clubs and bring them back and everything. So I left and actually thought I was doing like a good thing for my older son. I'm like, hey, come with me and let's go to the tour van. I'll kind of show you and everything.
Yeah.
If you come with me, I'll kind of show you, and I think he'd like it, So I go down there and we get to the tour van, which was by the range, and there was an absolute monsoon. I mean, there was literally like a river on the course, and in an area where, it was like flooding basically. So my wife had texted me, and I didn't really kind of realize it at first because I was talking to somebody at Ping. All of a sudden, like, she texted me a picture of Scheffler playing with my 2 other kids, and I'm like, what the heck? And so,
what a core memory that is. You'll have that forever, but please continue.
Yeah, exactly. It's something just never would. You think of how cool the environment and how cool the course is and everything, but behind the scenes, you have something like this happen. You never would expect it. So, eventually, once the rain stopped and we were able to make our way to the clubhouse, I didn't tell my oldest son yet what had happened, but because, I knew he'd be kind of bummed not to see Scottie or anything. But my wife was like, yeah, they sat at a table right after you had left, and my middle child was making their son kind of laugh. He was making some faces, and so Scottie and his wife Meredith like turned around and kind of just, we were like chuckling and kind of seeing what he was doing, and it started a conversation with my wife, and my wife talked to him for quite some time.
Wow.
And turns out, as they were talking, Scottie just was laying on the ground as if it was his living room and was playing with 2 of my boys and his son. It was pretty cool just to kind of have that experience. And on Saturday, I was kind of, I think, getting something out of my locker, and I went to the car, and the lot is right there next to the clubhouse, and he walked out of the fitness trailer, and he's like, oh, hey, and we took a picture with him. And he signed my kids like hats or flags or whatever they had. But it was just, those are the kind of experiences that like you don't expect. And
it's what makes the PGA Championship so special. It's 20 great club professionals that represent, I think it's 31,000 now all across the country.
Mm-hmm.
And again, for that week, you're in the field with Scottie Scheffler, you're in the field with Xander and Rory and all these guys, and everyone's on the same level. And that is just such a unique part about the PGA.
It really is. It's like, what other sport allows, somebody who works full time to have an opportunity to play in one of the biggest events in their sport, and it's so cool that the PGA does that. There's been guys that actually have gone through the PGA Professional Championship top 20 and actually have done pretty well in the PGA Championship. And, for a guy like me, it was literally like a dream come true for me. And it meant so much, obviously, to even have that chance. And like you said, just being around those guys and players that you watch and all of that was so cool. And, my wife went in on Saturday we were having lunch, and she went into one of the locker rooms or whatever. And she came back like 30 or 40 minutes later, and I was like, everything okay? And she came out and she's like, yeah, I ran into Meredith Scheffler and talked to her for like 30 minutes.
They're like best friends now, huh?
Yeah, exactly. And she was like, how's your husband doing and all this stuff? And
they seem like super nice people.
They are. I can tell you firsthand, so down to earth, so personable, incredibly nice. And for her to even ask like, hey, how's your husband? All of that. It just shows what kind of people they are.